This is Terri Gillespie, and welcome to Author Highlights with Terri. And this is actually episode 13, and I am so excited to celebrate this 13th lucky episode with Erin Bartels. And if you haven't heard about Erin, you're going to learn a lot about her. But before we do, because she's waiting in the wings, I just want to remind everybody to be sure and like, comment, and share this video. And that means actually on the video, because if you do it on the social media, it doesn't count and it doesn't help out our errand. So we want to do that. So also, if you're a new viewer, welcome. Thank you very much. And if you haven't subscribed yet, if that red subscribe button is there, just click on that and it'll turn white and a little bell will show up. And if you click on the bell, then you won't miss any future episodes of my book pre-reviews, my book reviews, and the wonderful monthly author highlight and giveaways. So that's my housekeeping. And now we get to introduce you to Erin Bartels. Welcome, Erin.
How is it going?
Good. It's so good to have you here. So I thought that I would start with your bio so people will find out how impressed I am with you. So Erin Bartels is the award-winning author of We Hope for Better Things, The Words Between Us, All That We Carried, and The Girl Who Could Breathe Underwater. And The Girl Who Could Breathe Underwater was my featured book pre-review, and I reviewed it, and those links are going to be down below. And I gave it a 5-star review, and it was worth every star. So her short story, The Elegant Ruin, was a finalist in the Saturday Evening Post 2014 Great American Fiction Contest, and her poetry has been published in The Lyric. She lives in the capital state that is 40% water, and she's nestled somewhere between angry protesters on the Capitol lawn and couch-burning frat boys at Michigan State University. And yet she claims it's really quite peaceful. So, Erin, tell our viewers how they can get to know you more and stay in touch with you.
Absolutely. You can find me online on Instagram or on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm at Erin Bartels Writes, and at Facebook, I'm at Erin Bartels Author. And if you want to know more about me than anybody should know, my website is erinbartels.com. And I, for a very long time, had a pretty active blog. It's not as active now as I'm working on books. And I also did a limited podcast. And so if anybody wants to find those sorts of things, they're on there. There's a lot of stuff on that website because I've been online for a really long time.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And once you start writing, it's like you don't have time for
You
other
really don't.
things.
And I think that you use the things that you would have used in a blog, you're using it for your books. So you're kind of saving everything up. You don't want to give it away.
Exactly. So that's why the social media is really nice.
Yeah.
But do you have a newsletter that...
Yes, I do. And if you go to erinbartels.com, it should pop up, or you just scroll to the bottom and you can sign up for it. It's about a quarterly newsletter. And then every once in a while, I'll send out a special announcement about something. But if you sign up for it, you do get a free audio short story of mine. And it's not just narrated, it's narrated, but also there's sound effects and music and all of that stuff. So it's really quite engaging.
Cool. I love it. So just a reminder, all those links are in the description section, and also something we didn't talk about, and that's your book trailer. And I saw it, and it's really it's really quite lovely. So there's a link down for that as well. Now, the January author highlight blog features some our interview, and there's some really great information there. And be sure and check it out. And also, you can enter for the giveaway, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. And as I said, the links to the review, the video review. So I have to say, Erin, that your book really grabbed me, like really deep in the heart. And it reminded me of my own journey toward healing. And I love the way that you say that, you know, we have to get past the whys and did it really happen, and make that journey to forgiveness. So that powerful story, really, it hit so deeply, but it was so eloquently written that, you know, I couldn't put it down. It just carried me all the way through to the
That's
end.
great to hear. That's great to hear.
So I thought it would be really great for our viewers to be able to hear just a little snippet of your
Sure.
book.
Sure. Yeah. I'll read the first few paragraphs of it. Just kind of the first page that you'd see if you opened it up and decided whether or not you were going to read any further. So here's the cover for those who haven't seen it. The Girl Who Could Breathe Underwater, which I love the
that.
cover.
Yeah, it's
It's just
beautiful.
beautiful. That photograph was taken by an artist in the Netherlands, and she actually was kind enough to donate a huge print of it, a signed print, for my launch event on January
Oh my
6th.
goodness.
Yeah, so people who go to that are able to be in the running for it. So it was really nice of her. She
Nice.
just did it out of nowhere. So, all right, yeah, let's start. The summer you chopped off all your hair, I asked your dad what the point of being a novelist was. He said it was to tell the truth. Ridiculous. Nothing you write is real, I said. You tell stories about made-up people with made-up problems. You're a professional liar. Oh, Kendra, he said. You know better than that. Then he started typing again, as if that had settled things, as if telling me I already had the answer was any kind of answer at all. I don't know why he assumed I knew anything. I've been wrong about so much, especially you. But there is one thing about which I am now certain. I was lying to myself about why I decided to finally return to Hidden Lake, which makes perfect sense in hindsight. After all, novelists are liars.
Wow. I love that.
Oh, thanks.
Just the fact that it kind of throws the reader off a little bit, because you're talking to someone and
Yes.
we don't know who.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
love the. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had started writing this book quite some time ago, and realized in the writing of it that a key character really isn't in it much, and that was difficult to kind of get the thrust of the story, you know, in there. And I really wanted to get this relationship that was important to the main character in there, but of course this person's not there. So when I rewrote it, where the main character is talking to the character who is mostly absent, it all kind of came together. And that's the fun part of writing, I think, is experimenting with these different ways of telling the story, and finding the niche that really is where it fits. And I think it throws people off at first, the fact that it's addressing you, because it are talking to me. I mean,
Yeah.
how does she know who I am? But I think it's the only way I could tell that story.
Yeah. It absolutely was the perfect technique in
Thanks.
order to really bring us into the story the way that we need to be brought in, and to keep the mystery alive through so much of the book, which is great. So in the author highlight blog, there's lots of great information, as I said. And I tell you what, I don't want to give it away too much because I did some really fun things with the pictures that you sent to me.
Oh, good.
So, but there are all these really beautiful one-liners that are great takeaways for the reader of the blog. But I thought I'd do something a little different for the video, which most of my viewers know is that we like to have a little fun. So one of the things I asked Erin was, what is something that we don't know about Erin Bartels?
Well, you might figure it out if you followed me very long on social media, but I tend to be a collector, not so much of things, but of skills and hobbies. There are many that I have done over the years that I don't really regularly do anymore, but I do regularly still sew. I sew a lot of my own clothes. I've been a quilter for a really long time. Yeah. And garden, a lot of writers garden. I also paint, and I love photography and all of those things, all sorts of different artistic pursuits. And I've just taken up songwriting in the last year and playing guitar and things like that. So anytime I see something that looks like it would be fun, I want to learn how to do it.
Yeah, I like that. It's like, how does it work? How do you do it?
Anymore, you can learn how to do anything if you have YouTube. So anything you're wondering about, well, how do I do this one aspect of that? You just look it up and there it is.
There it is. Yeah. And people so willing to do it for free.
Yeah. It's great. We live in quite a time.
Yes, it's great. I firmly believe there's this book, and I wish I should have brought it out, but it was written by this Japanese survivor of Hiroshima, and he became a believer, and he is this incredible artist. And what he says is that the creative part of us is a part of God that is a gift, and that we have squelched it for so long in the church that people are intimidated with art. And
I agree with that. And in fact, I read a wonderful book by Dorothy Sayers called The Mind and the Maker. And it's about writing specifically, but more broadly, it is about creativity and the fact that we are created in God's image as creative beings, and the ways in which not only do we glorify God through our creativity, but the ways in which we act in a godlike way when we are creating things, and in the way that we partner with God in that. And it's a really fascinating book. I would definitely recommend it to anyone who is a writer.
Okay, well, we'll make sure to put a link for that down below in the description section.
Great.
But yeah, and I think I'll put a link to this other gentleman's book as well, because what it is, I mean, you know how it feels that 1 minute there is no world, and the next minute you have a story world.
Absolutely.
And it's creation from nothing, but it is that spark that comes from our fathers.
So. And I think it's such a shame that, the church led in the arts for centuries. And then they got all suspicious about it. And I am heartened to see more and more people in the Christian faith exercising those creative gifts to the sort of nth of their ability, I guess you would say. Like, not just making something to make it, but to make it absolutely the best that you can make it, because that glorifies God.
Yeah, and I've noticed that in Christian fiction that, it more and more, especially books like yours, where there's now actually a genre that's Christian literary, which is
which I don't
I
think anybody would have imagined 20 or 30 years
no,
ago.
no. So it's, and it really challenges the rest of us because what do they say that as the water rises, all the boats
All the
rise
boats.
with it.
Yep. All the boats
Yeah.
rise with it.
So
Yeah.
that's just so important.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Now, Erin has generously offered for this month's giveaway a copy of her newest book, The Girl Who Could Breathe Underwater.
It's a long
And
title.
yeah, I know, but it's so cool. When Karen from Ravel, when she sent me the book list and I saw that, I got goosebumps on my
Ooh.
arms. Yeah. I said, okay, that's my January. That's my
Right,
January.
right.
Yeah. So you will sign that to the winner,
Yes, I will.
and that'll be a great giveaway.
Yes, and I have a little something else that'll come with it too, which will
Ooh.
have more meaning when you've read the book. But besides collecting hobbies and skills, I'm also a sort of compulsive collector of rocks. I have so many rocks in my house. This is just a small sampling. And these particular rocks actually came from the lake that I modeled the lake after in the story.
Oh, how cool.
Because it is modeled after a specific lake that I've spent a lot of time on. And so I was going to include a rock for the reader, and maybe if I can find a flat enough rock, I can write a little line from the story on it and sign that.
That would be really great. You can't see it in the video, but over my computer, I have an inspiration shelf, and it has all sorts of different things. And I have rocks up there as well. So, and when I was little, I was always collecting
Oh yeah,
rocks.
I just can't stop. I keep telling myself you don't need any more, but then you find another one where you're like,
It's so
oh, this is really pretty. You
Yeah.
bring it home.
Yeah. So now that's pretty cool, everybody. So not only do you get the book, but you get a piece of the story
Yeah.
to go with it. So here's how the viewers can increase their chances of being one of the winners of this exciting book and this little piece of the book. First thing to do, as I said earlier, is to like and comment on this video. And that's one entry. And then share this video with your family and friends. That's another entry. And then if you subscribe to this YouTube channel and press that little bell, you get 2 extra entries. And then if you head over to the author highlight blog, which the link is down below, and you comment and share that blog, and if you subscribe to my newsletter, then you get 2 gifts from me, and then you also get another entry. So that's a total of 6 chances to win this great giveaway. And if you're already a subscriber to my newsletter or to this YouTube channel, and you comment on either or both of the blog and the video, then you get those extra entries as well. So it doesn't have to be a new person. So the drawing will be held on January 14th. So you have a little bit of time to get that done. And now normally we just only accept entries from the contiguous US. So because it's a little more expensive to ship to Canada and Alaska and Hawaii. So that's important to mention as well. So, Erin, do you have any final words? What words of wisdom?
Oh, words of wisdom. Well, one of the themes in this book involves seeing past the surface of people, I guess, seeing past the persona that people put out for you to see, and the part of that's important to me is that I think that you mentioned early on in this interview the idea of stopping asking why me and starting to think of maybe something else going on in someone else's life. It's not all about me. It's not, the whole world is not about me. And that's one of the things that have personally helped me move on from some things in life that were difficult. And you mentioned forgiveness, and this book is something that I've kind of been in the back of my mind, even if I didn't know I was working on it. I've been working on it and thinking about these themes for more than 30 years. But one of the things that helped me get over and get to the point of forgiveness was when someone thought to ask a different question, not why, but I wonder what happened to that person, where you're pointing away from yourself and thinking about someone else. And one of the beauties of the Christian life is that, we need to think of other people. We need to think of others more highly than ourselves. It's important to be cognizant of other people's struggles, and that we're not all perfect. And there's never something bad that happens in a vacuum. Like, something always causes this. And I'm very interested as a writer in cause and effect. What causes someone to do something? What causes wars? What causes this? What causes that? And so one of the things I explore in this book is the idea that antagonists have their own stories, that an antagonist doesn't arise out of nowhere. Even in pretty cookie cutter two-dimensional stories anymore, they're trying to give antagonists more interesting backstories so that you can understand why they are villains and things like that. And I appreciate that, because not only do antagonists have their own stories, but we can be antagonists in other people's stories, and we may not even know it. So I think it's just, to me, it's been an exploration of stepping back and not assuming that I'm right about everything, that I have the right view of everything, and giving people the benefit of the doubt, and being willing to forgive. Because we live in a time when a lot of people, we have a lot of really public apologies, but we don't have a lot of forgiveness. I don't think people demand apologies, but they don't want to give forgiveness.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that people think are unforgivable. And I think that if you're a Christian, you can't believe that.
Yeah.
You have to believe that Christ's sacrifice covers all sins.
Everything. Yeah.
Which, it's easy to point out other people's sins and say, well, that I didn't do something that bad. But, we're kind of all in the same boat when it comes to whether or not we have earned anything here. It's all grace, and we don't deserve it. And that's why it's grace.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, forgiveness is critical to a believer's walk.
And it may take a really long time to get there.
Yeah.
But
I
that's the goal.
Yeah, that is the goal. I know I wrote a women's devotional, and one of the things that I wrote was, I think, and it was somebody said it to me, is forgiveness is like an onion, that you just keep peeling layers, and you're crying the whole time you're doing it, but eventually you get down and you get through it. But it's, with a person that really, really hurt me, the first act of forgiveness was, I don't wish them dead. I mean, that was the
and
first
sometimes
thing.
That's where you are for a while.
Because it was such a serious thing. It was, well, I don't wish them dead. And then it was, little by little, more and more, and you begin to understand their humanity. And then there was a point where I wept for them, that they clearly were victim. They were a victim as well. So it's just so important.
Yeah.
And the message that you're giving in this book, I know people wanted somebody to get their comeuppance, but the message of forgiveness is really needed today. And yeah,
I agree.
excellent, excellent. Well, and by the way, I'm looking forward to your next book.
Oh,
So,
good. Thank
yeah.
you.
So, and if you want to know what it's about, you have to go to the blog to see what it's about because she talks about it. So, thanks again for, dear viewers, for watching the 13th episode, the first episode in 2022. Ah!
Oh my gosh.
And just remember in the description section are all those really great links, and including our social media links, which we always appreciate the likes and follows and subscribes. And as next month, the author highlight blog and YouTube interview will feature the prolific and award-winning author Karen Whiting. And Karen is incredible. She writes nonfiction, and it all centers around children and families. So she's just really has a heart for the family, and she has everything from puppets, how to make puppets, and crafts and devotionals for families. It's just really precious. So I appreciate, Erin, you taking the time to talk
Oh,
with us,
absolutely.
and I've
Absolutely.
really enjoyed this. And dear viewers, God bless, and keep reading. Keep reading.